So I've just recorded a step-by-step guide on how to apply one of these Panzer Glass tempered glass screen protectors to an iPhone 16 Pro Max. However, it ends up being a complete and utter mess. So what I've done here is to put the video up anyway as a cautionary tale to people, just to recommend that this is something that I don't recommend to people. Anyway, if you haven't got the time to look through the best part of this video, because most of it is a waste of time, what it is, there's a chapter which goes straight to the point where everything starts going wrong. So just go straight to that chapter marker and then just watch from there on in, and then you might be interested in my end summary. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at what comes inside the package. So the first thing here is an alignment tool. Now this basically is a plastic frame which sits over the phone, and then we use this to align the tempered glass when we attach the tempered glass to the phone screen. Now next to it we've got a cleaning kit, and then here what we've got is the tempered glass. Now it's definitely worth mentioning at this point that even though this is quite an expensive tempered glass kit, we actually only get one piece of tempered glass, so this has definitely got to go on right first time. And just quickly, here's the contents of the cleaning kit. So we get a wet wipe, a drying cloth, and also a dust removal sticker. So first off then, I'm going to use the wet wipe to give the phone screen a really good clean. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is obviously just to clean the phone's screen. Now just make sure that you get all over the screen, and maybe very importantly, get into the corners and all the straight edges, because what I tend to find is that most of all the gunky stuff that you get on the phone basically collects on the edges and stuff and on the corners and what have you. So like I say, give the phone screen a really good going over with the wet wipe, but definitely make sure to get into all the corners and all of the straight edges. And then once we're happy with giving the phone screen a really good clean with the wet wipe, it's time to then just use the drying cloth. And obviously what we're doing here is to just dry off the phone screen and basically get off all of that fluid that we've got on the screen. Now, if you do get a little bit of it left on the screen, it's not going to be the end of the world or anything. It will evaporate over time and stuff, and it won't stop the glass from going on. But what we really do need to do here is just to make sure that we do get this screen bone dry and super clean. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to use the dust removal sticker. So if I just turn this over, we can see there's a bit of a split in it. So I'm just going to pull away the big part here. Now that's just going to reveal a sticky layer here. And what we do with this, we just gently dab it over the phone screen. So we'll just go all the way over the phone screen with that bit there. And what that's going to do is to pick off any little bits of dust which may settle on the phone. Now the next thing to do is to put on the alignment tool here, and as we will notice on one end there's a cutout here. Well, that cutout there means that that is the top edge of the alignment tool. So what we need to do is to line that up with the top edge of the phone, which is where we've got our camera and also our earpiece. So if we just kind of place it over and gently push it down, it'll just fit right over the phone there, and it fits on perfectly. Now also, if you wanted to, at this point of the installation, this is where you could use the dust removal sticker if you want to. You can actually use it either before or after you put on the applicator. However, for me, I tend to find it's a bit easier before the applicator goes on, because after the applicator's gone on, you can't actually get onto the corners and the straight edges using the dust removal sticker. And now it's time to apply the tempered glass. Now the tempered glass comes on its own plastic backing here, and as we should be able to see at one end we've got like this little pull tab. So what we do, we just bend that backwards, and then that will pull away the backing away from the tempered glass there. And then all we've got to do is pull that right off, then drop the tempered glass inside of the frame over the phone. So now that I've explained it, let me try and do it. Okay, so I've now just put the tempered glass inside of the frame, and as you can see here, it will start to level itself. So I'm just going to leave this for a few seconds, and let's see if it actually levels itself without creating any bubbles. Oh no! As you can see there's a bubble right in the middle. Okay, so this isn't good. However, it may not be a catastrophe. So what I'm going to do here is to pull the frame off. And the reason why is because the tempered glass is actually now all on straight. However, as we can see, we've got this really big bubble in the middle. So what I'm going to do here is to just gently lift up one of the corners with a fingernail here. And then I'm just going to pull back that piece of tempered glass until it meets into, like, it's basically making a bubble as I pull it up, or an air gap. Now that's going to meet up with that bubble in the middle shortly. There we go. So it's created another small bubble. Okay, so now we've got like no bubble in the center. So what I'm going to do is just to gently release that and put it back down again. And then what I'm going to do is just track down with it here with the cleaning cloth. Okay, now I am able to get right down to the edge there with these bubbles. However, that's not ideal. Okay, right, what I'm going to do is try that again. I'm going to pull the corner back again a little bit. And I've got to say right now, this is not ideal. Hold on. In fact, when I say it's not ideal, this is actually really bad. And I will discuss this in a second after I've hopefully fixed it. Let me just pull the corner back up again. Because as we can see there are a couple of small bubbles still in the center. Okay, now I'm just going to let go of that and let it try and resettle itself. Right, it's just creating more and more tiny bubbles here. And I definitely cleaned that screen properly. Okay, right, what I'm going to do here, you might not be able to see, but there are some really small bubbles here. I'm just going to see if I can push them out towards the edge of the actual phone. So if you give us a second, in fact, I might have to speed up through this. Okay, I'm going to have to just lift this corner up here as well. There's just a couple more bubbles I need to try and absorb. So if you just give us a moment, there's one. And then there's another. I'm going to let go. See if that'll resettle itself. Okay, I'm just going to push in towards the edge there. Okay, right, that was a lot of messing around. But I did actually get rid of the bubbles at the edges there. I'll do a close-up in a second so we can see this. However, let's just see the other edges. Right, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to now give this a really good thorough cleaning with the drying cloth here. Okay, so if there are any extra like tiny bubbles around the edges, I'm going to push them out off the edge and stuff using the drying cloth. Okay, so to an end summary, and I was just trying to see if there was any positiveness that I could have pulled out of all that crap you've just seen there, you know, because at the end of the day, I did manage to get my phone back inside of its case without the tempered glass screen protector impeding the case. And on top of that, after all of that messing around that I'd done, pulling the screen back and then using the cloth to push all the bubbles out and stuff, I did eventually get to the point where I didn't have all kinds of bubbles behind the tempered glass screen protector. However, if I were to have tried to have spun that type of positiveness from the obvious crap we've just seen, it would have been a load of BS. Now let me just quickly explain to you why it would have been BS. Now the thing is, this tempered glass screen protector is the most expensive one that I've ever tried on any phone. So in the UK this costs £36, which is just shy of $50 for you guys in North America. So let that sink in, £36 or just under $50, and you only get one. Well, if you're only going to get one, this has to be something that goes on perfectly straight away without any issues whatsoever. Now also consider this, I've shown similar ones to this in the past where you get 3 of them for $10, at which point you're not going to lose your mind if like one of them screws up, or if even 2 of them screw up. For $10, if you can get 1 out of 3 to actually go on and it all fits on perfectly, and maybe you still have to do a little bit of messing around, pull the corner up or push out bubbles, well for $10 I don't think anyone's going to lose their mind weekend over that, and I think the whole experience becomes quite positive for like $10. But when it's nearly $50 and you only get one, you got to get it right in one go, and it does what it's just done. That's just not good. And you also have to remember here that I've had a ton of experience doing these things. I mean, seriously, I couldn't even tell you now how many of these types of videos I've done on this channel over the years to do with, like, you know, putting the tempered glass screen protectors on phones and tablets. But I've done loads of them, and I've got a lot of experience in doing it. So the thing is, it's not like, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. And in fact, two other things to consider here. This phone, right, already had a tempered glass screen protector on it just before I did this video. So what happens is I take this one off the phone, I give the phone a really good clean after I do that. So even before I start this video, the phone's screen was in mint condition as far as it being cleaned and dried. So when I then go on and do the whole thing with like the pack that comes with it, the phone was already pristine before, the phone screen was already pristine before I do that. So there's absolutely no way that there was any crap on the screen. There was no way I did something wrong. The simple fact here is that I just think that there's a bit of a slight defect in the actual tempered glass. It was definitely nothing to do with what I done. Now, another quick thing to mention, because of my experience in doing these things, when I do hit that problem where you get like a bubble in the middle of the screen or something, you know, 9 times out of 10, I can probably fix that, which is what I done in this video, and I showed you how I done that. But here's the thing, if you've never done this before and that's what you get put in front of you and there's a big bubble in the middle of the screen, is the first thing you're thinking of is, well, do you know what, I will very carefully lift the edge of the screen up there, I'll pull it back very slightly until that air pocket reaches the bubble, then I will let it resettle again. That is not the first thing anyone's thinking for the first time when they do something like this. They're just going to look at it and go, what a mess. Anyways, the bottom line here is this: I will not be recommending this Panzer Glass tempered glass screen protector for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and there will not be any links to it in the video description below. But what's quite possibly even worse is that I've got another one of these, which is for my Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, so that's going to be fun. Anyways, if you found the video useful, insightful, or entertaining in any way, please do give it a thumbs up, and a sub to the channel would be absolutely awesome. I'm David Hardy. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.